What's up, everybody? Buddha back here again, and I want to tell a story. And I'm going to preface this story by stating that this is not a happy story, and I am at the point of where there are zero fucks to be given left. There will probably be a lot of cursing in this, so you have been fairly warned. As some of you may know, I had to go to trial earlier this week. And I lost. And I'm going to tell you why. 4 years ago, on February 1st, 2011, I was in a car accident. I was not in a car accident where another car hit my car. I was in a car accident where I was nearly run down by an old Dodge Ram. At the time, I was working for Empyrean Property Management at Villas of Cordova. On that date, well, actually a couple of days beforehand, we had evicted someone, and their stuff was still in the parking lot a couple of days later. Glenn needed a couch. So Jesse and I, after I got off of work, went to pick up that couch from Villas of Cordova and take it to their house out in Millington. Up until that point, everything was fine. I hung out with them for a while. Jesse was going to take me home. During the course of Jesse taking me home, we were coming down Raleigh-Millington Road, and the bridge right there at Loosahatchee River, there was something in the road. And that something was a nearly 6 foot across, 3.5 foot tall coil of 5 or 6 inch industrial plastic piping. This is the kind of piping that you would use on the end of your gutter next to your house so that the gutter didn't flood the yard and you could actually drain it out into the street or some other place out without it being actually flooding your yard. Now, as big as that was, it was actually pretty light and bounced off the bumper and kind of skeeted on down the road as Jessie slammed on her brakes, not knowing exactly what she hit, and swerved into oncoming traffic. Thankfully, of which there was none. After clearing the bridge and swerving around the, well, not necessarily swerving, but moving around off the bridge and around the coil of tubing, we got out of the vehicle. We pulled off of the road at what we thought was a safe area. We were completely off of the road in our van, and we were inspecting the damage, if any, on the van. There was not any damage on the van. Me being an Eagle Scout, I decided that, well, since we hit it and it's still sitting there in the middle of the road, I would be a good Samaritan and a good Eagle Scout and just go ahead and drag it off the road to prevent anyone else from having the same issue that we had. Because at the time, I felt that if someone had hit it and it caught air, it was going through someone's windshield. So I walked down the road to where as close as I could get to the coil of piping. And I waited for everything to be clear, went into the road, moved the coil of piping off of the road by throwing it over the side of the bridge, which it was right there at the end of the bridge where the normal road picks back up. So it's not like it really would have went far, but I threw it over the edge of the bridge and it tumbled down the ravine, so to speak, toward the river, just a couple of feet. It really, wasn't even in the Loosahatchee River, but it was close. On my way back to the van to get into it, to proceed to going home, I was hit in the upper left shoulder and elbow by a older, at the time, Dodge Ram. I say older. I would probably guess that it was like a mid-'80s model Dodge Ram. On these mid-'80s models Dodge Ram, the side mirrors actually protrude from the side a good 18 inches. As I said, I was hit by the mirror, not necessarily, not the truck itself, but by the mirror, kind of a glancing blow. It doubled me over, did not knock me down or cause any major damage, but it did, double me over, and I was in severe pain. As some of you may or may not know, I've had trouble with this elbow for quite some time, and this is basically the reason. Jesse came running up, trying to see if I was okay. As best we could tell, the truck that hit me went on down the road. We lost sight of it. Jesse called the police. The police and ambulance showed up. Just before they did, the guy who evidently ran me over came back. He claimed that I was standing in the middle of the road. I was not. I was on the shoulder, on the opposite side of the white line from traffic, which means I should have been in a safe area. Given where I recall that I was standing, now mind you, everything is going on very quickly at this point. Adrenaline's kicking in, etc., etc. He should not have been able to hit me. I don't know how close he was to the white line, or even if he was over it. I don't want to say the guy swerved to attack me, but I do not feel that I was in any danger where I was walking. Cops came, ambulance came. I was checked out by the paramedics, and they offered to take me to the hospital, where they suggested that I get x-rays. I did decline the ambulance ride to the hospital, but Jesse did take me to the hospital, where we didn't leave, and this was the accident occurred at like 9 o'clock at night, and I was not let go until 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning after the fact. My sugar was high, and the doctors wanted to keep me until it was low. Diabetic, it happens. While I was at the accident scene, the police, were taking a report, this, that, and the other, and the police actually released me to go to the hospital. The police officer that was taking the report said that he would bring me the report number while I was at the hospital. That didn't happen. I ended up having to take a week off of work because of my elbow. The night I went into the hospital, the x-rays did not show that I had anything wrong other than a bit of a soreness. Said that would go away, but gave me some pain pills. The next morning, the hospital called me and they said they had another guy take a look at it, and they found out that, take a look at my x-rays, and they found out that I had a small fracture in one of the small bones in my elbow. And they set me up with an appointment for a Memphis Orthopedic Group, and I was going a couple of days after that. When I went to the Memphis Orthopedic Group a couple of days after the accident, they put me in a cast for 2 weeks. At some point during those 2 weeks, I went to get the police report to figure out exactly what was going on with the accident. In the police report, it stated that I was walking in the road, which I was not. The police officers cited some obscure county ordinance that basically said I was in violation by walking on the side of the road. I do not feel that I was in violation by walking on the side of the road. I was not traveling down the side of the road. I was trying to go back to the vehicle in which we just had an accident with. When I found this out, I was pretty distraught. I employed my lawyer friend, of which many of you may know who see this video. I eventually had the money to file suit. About a year after the accident, and kind of been battling it ever since. There's been a couple of court dates here and there. There have been reschedules, and as trials generally go. Initially, Jessie said that she was going to be a witness for me and would show up at court, make sure justice got served. But then there were some other issues of which I'm not going to go into, but her and Glenn broke up. And for those who know, it was kind of nasty. I had no problem with Jessie. I kind of understood the situation. But some of those court dates that were rescheduled were because Jessie refused to come to court. I eventually had to subpoena her for this trial that was on Wednesday of this past week, in which she still did not show up. Which, Jessie, if you watch this, I want you to know that Jada did you a huge favor. We could have had a Shelby County sheriff show up at University of Memphis and drag your ass out of class in handcuffs. I want you to know that. Instead, Jada and the other guy's lawyer decided to stipulate what you may say in court, which is what got you out of going to jail. A little bit back on that. I had no problem with Jada with Jessie when her and Glenn broke up. It wasn't really my problem. I wasn't going to be able to see William and Lizzie as much. I got that, As many of you know, I'm a huge fan of all my nieces and nephews. I do miss William and Lizzie a great deal. But basically, because I was Glenn's brother, Jessie refused to help me in this situation. She hated Glenn, and there in comparison, she hated me. She's never come out and said it, and she's always been cordial to some degree, but she hated me because she hated Glenn, and that's what it really boils down to. I was Glenn's brother. Glenn and her broke up. She's hurt, and I'm an asshole because of it. That's not why I'm an asshole. If anything, this is why I'm an asshole. But keep in mind, as I've stated before, this asshole always plays with your kids. Has great fun with all of your kids. Uncle Jungle Jim is not a nickname that I got all willy-nilly. There are reasons behind it. I lost the case on Wednesday. And I lost it because of a 60-plus-year-old case that came into play because of the ordinance, the obscure county ordinance, that basically was the ruling factor of my case. In any other situation, if a man gets run down, whoever did the running down not the victim, is at fault. And because of some of the stupid fucking laws we have in this country, I have an elbow that is sore every morning when I wake up. And oftentimes during the day, if I stretch the wrong way, if I try to pick up something too heavy, if I try to play with some of my nieces and nephews and they pull on me wrong, I feel like I get stabbed in the elbow every time. So I lost my case. And the legal reason I lost my case is because evidently it is illegal to walk any amount of distance down a road that does not have a sidewalk. Legally speaking, no matter how far down the road you're going, even if it's 10 feet, you are legally obligated to cross the road where you're at so that you are walking toward oncoming traffic and then cross back to your destination. Under the legal system, that is what you have to do. Couple that with the fact that it was late at night, and as many of you are known, especially if you listen to some of my YouTube videos, I always wear dark clothing. In this certain situation, well, and not this certain situation, in this exact situation, I was wearing one of our Hate Prince t-shirts. That Hate Prince t-shirt has a man holding a stick figure man holding a knife, says, "Never mind, I'll kill them all myself" on the front, and on the back it had a large white Hate Prince logo pentagram on the back. Albeit it probably isn't reflective, but I'm a big guy wearing a black shirt, mind you, with a large white logo. Even if I am walking away from oncoming traffic, with my back turned to oncoming traffic, if you have your lights on, you should see me. But that evidently is not the case. And as I said, I lost the case because evidently it is illegal for someone to walk any amount of distance down a road at night wearing dark clothing unless they are on the appropriate side of the street facing oncoming traffic, walking toward oncoming traffic. So in this case, I was headed south. I should have been on the left-hand side of the street and not the right-hand side of the street. I should have crossed over whenever I, let's say, dropped the coil of tubing off the side of the road. I should have crossed the street, walked up 20 or 30 feet to the vehicle, which is actually over here, and then crossed back in the middle of the night while wearing dark clothing. Now here's another thing. The shoulder on this side of the road, when facing south on Raleigh-Millington, just past the Loosahatchee Bridge over the Loosahatchee River, is probably only 5 foot across. The side that I was on when I got out of the vehicle, when I removed the debris from the street, and when I started walking back to the vehicle, was at least 15 feet between the edge of the road and the tree line. So, under the law, just so everyone is aware, it is legal for you to walk in a 5-foot space compared to walking in a 15-foot space, no matter how far down the road you are going. So, Jessie didn't show up for court. They stipulated her testimony, and I lost. Now, I'm not saying I would have still won if Jesse had showed up. That's not the point. My point in bringing Jesse into this video is that she said she would help me. And she went back on that due to something I had no control over. And to some degree, I understand. Because she hasn't been friendly to me since they broke up. Probably since before, but because I'm making this video to kind of get these off my chest, and I may be rambling at this point. I don't know, but given that it just sits wrong with me that someone who, no matter what the circumstance, I had nothing to do with their breakup. I understand she was hurt by it, and I can understand that. But it's 4 years later. You said you were going to do something, and you decided not to do something. You decided to defy a court order and got lucky to get out of it. But, and what really sums this up, there's a phrase in the movie The Big Lebowski. This is what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass. Well, this is what happens when you fuck a friend in the ass. I still might have lost the case even with Jesse there. But I am not entirely sure who of the people I know I can trust anymore. And this is kind of goes out to everybody. Don't ask me for nothing. Don't ask me for nothing. Certain people, yeah, you can ask me. And you know who you are. But don't nobody ask me for nothing anymore. Not helping anybody with any fucking thing anymore. Because in my time of need, anytime I have an issue, nobody wants to help me anyway. No matter what the circumstances are. I could be getting kicked out tomorrow morning, not have anywhere to go, and I'm fairly certain my dad would just look at me and say, sorry. But yeah, I lost the case. So now I have $5,655.30 worth of medical bills that I have to come up with at some point. I do have an option to appeal the decision, but in order to file the appeal, it's going to cost me $300, which I really don't have. And it would, the way it's looking, if I file appeal, it's going to be a coin flip. So I've already spent close to $250 on this. I have to spend another $300 to appeal. I have 7 days to figure out if I want to appeal or not. So basically by the end of next week. And once again, I get fucked in the ass. And I'm at a loss for words. I really am. I help people as best I can 9 times out of 10. The one time I needed a little compassion, nobody wants to give me a helping hand. Jessie, who said that she would be at court, no matter what, when the incident happened, even 4 years later, is so far up her own fucking ass that she can't let bygones be bygones and help someone who had no cause for her breakup with my brother. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I don't give a fuck anymore. If I called you out in this video, then I called you out in this video. And let's go back a minute and let's not count Jada out of this, because she's not entirely at fault here either. Let's go ahead and talk about Jada for a minute, because I made a mistake when I hired her. At the time, she was the only lawyer I knew, and I thought that we were on well enough terms to where she would help me out. Admittedly, the first year was my fault for not filing soon enough, but we did file before the statute of limitations ran out. So for the last 3 years, we've been fighting this up and down. I have to basically beg for an update on my case. I had to do several things in order that I thought that a lawyer should be doing in regards to the case, i.e., getting statements from my former manager that says at the time of the incident I was working for Empyrean Property Management at the Villas of Cordova, making $10 an hour and working 40 hours a week. To me, that sounds like something the lawyer should do, should get that statement. Mind you, it would have been me to find out where she was, but it should have taken a lawyer to actually get that statement. I finally got that statement and had it mailed to my house, because otherwise it wasn't going to happen. The night before trial, Jada decides all of a sudden that pictures of where the incident took place would probably be a good idea. You know what's happened to Raleigh-Millington Road at the Loosahatchee Bridge in the last 4 years? Yeah, they're finally expanding the bridge. So guess what's under fucking construction now? Where I got hit. So guess what? It doesn't look like it did 4 fucking years ago. Jada never asked for pictures of the area before the day before the trial. Now, luckily enough, if I do appeal, it's got to go to a higher court. And Jada will not be the lead attorney on that. But she'll be involved in the case because she was in part of the initial case. So yeah, certain things that should have been taken care of by a lawyer, or at least 3 or 4 years ago, did not get taken care of. Another friend of mine actually says I should sue Jada for malpractice. I don't know if I want to have any other involvement in the legal system at this point. I have 7 days to figure out if I'm going to appeal, which at this point is looking like I'm not. Unless there is some way that Jada or her other buddy attorney that's going to have to take over the case, come to me with and prove to me that they have a foolproof way of winning this. I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to lose $300, a total of like $550, in order to have 2 cases charged against me or found against me. And at best, it's a coin flip. At best, it's a coin flip. And I'm tired of it. I think I've said everything I want to say. This is going up on a 30-minute video now. It's probably the longest one I've ever had. Yeah, a little pissed. I thought that the legal system would work for me in this situation, which is why I thought I had turned to my friends for help. Evidently wasn't the case. I would have probably been better represented by an ambulance chaser. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. I think I've said everything I want to say. So with that being said, I bid you adieu, and y'all have a good day.